All right, we're playing TTN. This is the first knockout stage of the Doomtrain Memorial. It's the first game I've played without Element All. Very important to remember the rules: plus and same wall. Now, sadly, there's elements on this potentially safe spot in 8, and if they capture from 7, it would be very difficult to combo because same walls are pretty unlikely. In fact, impossible given my hand to same wall. Right? I'd need a 10 to the right or a 10 up, and I don't have either. On the other hand, we could still go for it. We could still go for it because I can't contest that square. Now, the other thing to remember is there is plus. So we could try to set up against it via plus to control that, right? Our 4994 can take anything 9 or lower. So we really want to cover 10s. Now, if they stick a 9 with a +1 facing out, okay, what are we going to do? But we could play Kengish Khan in 11. And then Ninetails actually controls 10s really well in both 8 and 16. That seems interesting. I like the idea of using a 0 there. Seems interesting. It seems a card that's pretty redundant with other things I can do. Got to be careful to keep Chansey in the hand. Plus and same wall. Yeah, weird rules. I think we're going to do that. I have no idea what I'm doing here. But this gives me, I think, pretty decent control of critical squares with one card, essentially, right? My 4994 and my 70A7. I guess it's two cards, but each of them controls a unique feature in both squares. We will go wish him luck privately so no one sees that I've wished him luck. I have not yet lost a game on my personal TTN account, having played 3 whole games on this account. My game plan here, because this is a 3-game match, is if we get any ties, I will switch off. It's very obvious. Like, you look at my cards, I'm clearly buying the Pokemon cards. I would like to, mostly because I just think the deck looks the best. It's the only deck made recently. Visually, it's the most appealing to me. I wanted to go Silent Hill cards. That's, the Avatar. But I thought the Pokemon deck looked better. So, what was I saying? Was it important? Probably not. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. I don't want my cards to be incredibly predictable. Pokemon has 15 cards per level. Even if he realizes I'm entirely on Pokemon, that doesn't, or mostly on Pokemon, that doesn't mean I'm necessarily predictable, but I don't think I have that many more cards than this, so I really don't want my hand to be predictable. In a previous round, playing level 9 again, I realized my opponent in one game had a right weakness, and I thought it might be likely he kept having right weaknesses. And while I didn't quite think it out quite so well that I think I deserved to win, I did sort of play against that, and that is basically what happened. Is he just didn't have many cards that were good to the right, and that hurt him in 2 different games. And in the second game, I realized it might be a continuing weakness. Um, so I was really lucky there, right? Because I didn't win based on like outplaying on the board. I won based on their hand being poor, um, and some cleverness to realize that that might be the case, but not a whole lot. That said, that said, I don't want that to happen to me, and Turdz is certainly a player who could recognize that. Therefore, we are going to switch accounts for a second game on any rule set to Ray's account because his account has a larger variety of cards and won't be readable that way. But I'd like to get in a few more games on my account also so I can buy more cards. Um, you got to include some games on your account. So that's the game plan here. Again, not entirely sure about my move. I think the potential pluses in 7 are sneaky, but it's tricky for him to go in 8 anyway because it might look like I have a 10 to the right. The reason I didn't play an 8 is because he might have a 10 to the right. The reason he won't play an 8 is not because he thinks I set up a plus with a 0, right? It's because I probably have an A to the right. Plus same wall. Got to keep that in mind. I think same wall is very unlikely to affect here. There are just a lot more cards with the 4x4 board that don't interact with a wall, a lot more spots on the board. So this is basically plus combo. And so I think there's a good chance he plays in a square like 5 or 13, just going diagonal and trying to set stuff up. But the 0 is a pretty hard number to set something up against comfortably, I would guess. Maybe that's wrong. But I would guess that. I certainly don't have ways to set up off it. Okay, he just goes in the corner. Well, we do have 10s in that direction, so we do have captures if needed. We don't certainly need. Aerodactyl has the capture both ways, so that's probably the more valuable card to hold on to. I do have a same wall in 15. I probably should have noticed when I made my move. Kind of tempted to play Vileplume in 1. I think it's not a particularly useful card in my hand, and I can recapture it both ways with Ninetales if needed. Squares I'm thinking about: 1, 10. 10 can sort of just set up interaction with their card. I don't have a really pleasing way to do so, but I think Vileplume and 10 would be probably fine, but it really doesn't set up my cards well. I don't want to play somewhere that forces me into uncomfortable squares. Like if I played 3 and they captured from 2, well, I could probably play in 1 there. I don't know. I'm not. I don't really have a sense of how to interact with a kind of vague board like this in TTN. Um, I'm not sure what the instincts should be. I think Vileplume's probably the worst card in my hand here. But it's possible that's just wrong. It's possible it's like Chansey. Chansey's so good. I like 998s, especially on level 9. That's just very powerful. I think I'd like to use Vileplume. I think on a vague board like this, gotta remember no plus wall, so can't play like Vileplume in 3 or something. So let's play Vileplume in 1. I'm not great at recapturing it, actually. I have some left weakness. This is fully closed, right? Yeah. I could also play Vileplume in 8 and hope they don't have it. But what am I getting if they do? I don't think that's a worthy trade. Vileplume 1. I don't think there's much point to like Vileplume 5 or something. I think giving the half safeties is probably not what we want to do. So let's go Vileplume 1. Ninetales is not an amazing recapturer for me because it has a 10 facing out that lets them lock stuff in. But that's probably not too bad. Plus is weird because this is quite close to a no rules game. That might actually crystallize something I've been thinking about. I have been thinking in the games I've played of TTN, I've had a few thoughts, right? One was sort of received wisdom of even number of blocks is helpful to second turn, odd number of blocks is helpful to first turn. Generally, first turn is favored either way, but it's closer the more even number of blocks there are. One is that score matters more. Being up in score is going to be more helpful than it is in TTA. Score rather than lock ins is more relevant. That's been a thought I've had. And I feel like I had another good thought. But now I've lost it. It was a while ago. That might be bad. I should probably figure out what my good thoughts are and keep them in mind. Anyway, the important thing here, I think, is it has struck me that score matters more than lock-ins. And you know what's a game where score starts mattering more than lock-ins? The closer you get to no rules, the more that starts mattering. Because there are only going to be so many captures at one time without rules, right? Both with combo off, but also like no combo games with all rules, lock-ins still matter significantly more than kind of score on board. But it's more like no combo games with minimal rules, I think. And I think part of the reason that is A, the number range is wider. This is both because zeros exist, and it may be because I've just played basically level 9, and level 9 is one of the most, is probably the single most wide range of numbers, right? Because it has access to 0 through 10, 1 through 10 in TTA, but 0 through 10, but actually uses them, right? Level 10 doesn't use that many ones or twos, but level 9, they're pretty frequent. So it is probably the most varied. That's not what we wanted to see. I was thinking if they go 5, I probably just stick something in 13, but this is a little annoying. Shame the 4994 doesn't plus. It would be really nice if it did. Yeah, I think we need high outpacing here. I think the game is clearly left, so I got to use my 4994, my 9981. Coverage of 8 and 16 is no longer what the game's about at all. I'm going to need Ninetales and Aerodactyl for captures. We could try to lock in by playing in 2, but I don't want to use up my only capture in 13, and Ninetales is pretty susceptible to lots of things I don't want. Because it doesn't set me up in 6, and it could easily set them up. So I think I should just play 9. And then it's 4994 Chansey. Both of which are going to be uncomfortable for me to use later. Tempted to keep Chansey. It's just more powerful. Not sure the difference between a 4 and a 1 is that large. Yeah, let's use Bowser Bro. This might also trick him into thinking I'm not all Pokemon. So close to having pluses, right? This is 1 off a plus. Aerodactyl is 1 off a plus. Shame. The 9's well covered. But yeah, let's just take this and hope we're, not walking into anything big in 10. We do have last turn, but this seems a pretty unlikely game to get a random luck combo. Don't love my position. Don't really know what I should have done differently. It is entirely possible, of course, to get very bad positions enclosed, and you've played it well, right? That you had the best coverage that you could have of various things, but they happened to play the things you couldn't cover. Which makes it a hard game to learn from your mistakes because it is difficult to be confident you're identifying mistakes. But of course, if you're, losing a bunch to someone and you conclude, well, I must have gotten unlucky every game, that's probably not the case. There's ways of playing where luck is more or less likely to affect, and I assume that's as true in TTM as well as TTA. What else is there to say? I feel like I was talking about something, but it's all gone. Gotta remember, plus, same wall. So my only kind of potential combo to end a game is Ninetales and 15. So if they don't have something good for 10, then I assume they're going in 13 here. Maybe we can play it such that we get something in 15 at the end. I don't know. I don't know how to evaluate this. I got to keep in mind I get to play 3 more moves and they only get to play I guess 3 more moves as well. But last turn really does seem valuable. They could also have a same wall in 15. is not that unlikely. It's pretty unlikely. Level 9, it's really hard to have specific things. Possibly my opinion of TTN is warped by the 4x4 boards is warped specifically because most of the games in this tournament have been on level 9. That would be a very easy way to get misconceptions. Is you have a level that is kind of unique in how it works, and you draw conclusions that don't necessarily apply broadly, even if they're good conclusions, which they may well not be. But yeah, I was talking about score. I think one of the reasons score is more relevant here is simply that it's closer to a no rules game. The walls are affecting a lot less. Plus wall is much more relevant than same wall. But even plus wall, if just only one square doesn't interact with a wall on a 3x3 board. Here, there are 3 squares that don't interact with walls, and way more squares that only interact with one wall. Um, and so it's just much, and yeah, it's just much easier for, I think, walls to not be relevant. Okay, they do have that. That sucks. That sucks. Did they happen to give us 6? Nope, one off again. No, that just sucks. I think I should just take the captures I can in 6. But this is horrendous for me. Now 15 is a double capture. Maybe I gotta get rid of Chansey from my hand. Is there anything useful Chansey could do? Because I don't want to be in an endgame here where Chansey exists, right? So if I do something like Aerodactyl in 6, my double capture, I'd only be down 7-5. What a great success. And say they just go 2. Um, really hard for me to, take that. I can't really take that. I'm down 8-4. I have this double capture in 15, but Chansey is horrible. So what I think I want to do, I think I'm just going to lose 7-5. But my game plan here was if I can put Chansey somewhere where they don't get a capture on it, or where like them capturing it, I grab back somehow. And then I play Aerodactyl, but I need to not flip 11. Because if I flip 11, if I play Chansey, for instance, in 7, then I flip a card I don't want to flip because I really. Ninetales in 15 is like the only double capture potential I have with Ninetales. Here's what I'm thinking Ninetales is a double capture. Aerodactyl has a potential double capture, though it overlaps, but a single capture too. If I can get both those captures to go off, we tie 6-6. So my thought is maybe I should play Chansey in 16. Looks insane. But I think it's kind of scary to go in 15 for him. If he goes in 15, he's obviously going to overpower the 1. If I can combo that, if he sticks out a number I can combo, which is unlikely, but I can combo 9s and A's, and I can capture. Basically, I don't want to see a 7 there because Aerodactyl has a double capture against anything else. Then I might have a decent spot. I think I'm going to try this. I don't think I've explained it well, what I'm thinking here. But I think it's scary for him to go in 15. And if he doesn't go in 15, then I can do some capture with Aerodactyl up top and have a double capture with Ninetales at the end. And maybe that somehow miraculously gets me to 6-6. Probably doesn't even. So I'm just way behind here. Every number he's put out has been really uncomfortable for me. Which is not to say I'm not being outplayed. I certainly think I am. But it is to say I don't see where I have favorable interactions. And I need to get +3 captures on these final turns. And I just think if I have Chansey at the end, I'm never getting to that +3. So I think I needed Chansey out of my hand, and I want Chansey out of my hand in a useful way. And any of the squares I would put in the second row down, so 5, 9, or sorry, 2, 6, 10, and 14. I'm certainly saying numbers wrong throughout this. I apologize, but 2, 6, 10, and 14, because I'm not used to this, would be locking in cards for them. Then we have the row of 3, 7, 11, 15. And if they capture that, which they probably do in 2, Aerodactyl's just not landing well, right? If I go in 3. And if I go in 7 or 15, I'm flipping 11, which I don't want to flip because that's part of potential captures for me, specifically double captures. So then I'm left with 8 and 16 as a way to get rid of Chansey. And there's a case for 8 because a lot of their captures in 7 help my Aerodactyl of multiple captures. But the problem with that is any of their captures are not weak to Kangaskhan, Khan, and I've got both of my double captures interact with that card in 10, that 4869, right? Both of my double captures interact with that. And they're probably going to capture Aerodactyl after I play it, or after I play Ninetales, capture that. And so I kind of need some version where I interact with those and they don't flip me back. And I just felt like that was more likely if I go in 16. Yeah, so they do block. Okay. Now we have multiple double capture squares. And we have a plus in 2. For once, a card has come our way. So I think actually, I'm really pleased with how I handled this, because I think we might be okay. If we go in 15, we're down, we flip 2 cards, we're down 7-5. They can go up 9-3, but we have the plus in 2, and that's the last move of the game, and that will make it 6-6. And if we go in 15 and they don't capture Ninetales, and with the -1 going to the right, it's possible if they just happen to have a right weakness here, and they all the cards they've played have had have like been basically neutral or better to the right, and they started in 13, so they obviously have to have some stuff left that they haven't shown yet, because he hasn't shown a recapture in 14 yet. It is possible he now has a right weakness. If he doesn't have that capture, we can actually win here. If he blocks 2, well, we're only down 7-5. All we have to do is capture one thing. Aerodactyl can do that. So I think Ninetales in 15 gets us the tie, and I'm really happy with my move in 16. Do we have better? I guess that is an important question. I don't think so. So I'm gonna take this. And amusingly, even if they can combo Ninetales, the 0 doesn't overpower the 1. So yeah, we're only down 7-5 due to same wall. And I think we snuck a tie out of this horror show. And it's actually not impossible to win here. Now, if they go 3, sorry, if they go, not 3, 7, then that makes them up 8-4. We only have a single capture back. Okay, we tie there. Yeah, they go there. That only flipped Ninetales. Interestingly, that didn't flip 4869, but it doesn't matter either way. We get our plus, and we tie. Ooh, phew. And now we move on to the second rule set. But I will take that. I will take that. That was calamitous, and I think saved by a move in 16. All right, we tie game 1.